Hi, I'm Mitch Shoemaker, and this is day 67 of my making 100 days of YouTube videos and focusing on gratitude. So, yay for day 67. Um, Still feeling kind of in a good mood today, which is good. I like that. Didn't start off in a good mood, started off very irritated and grateful for the reminders um, in my head that I can put my anger and frustration to work. I can do things. Not that I did any of those things, but I can do those things. So I think at this point, I'm just becoming aware of stuff that I can do, and that if I really want to move on with my life or do things differently, I have to make changes. And change is hard. And I think it's hard because we get set in our ways is what we're doing, or at least I do, and it's comfortable, it's convenient, it's habit forming. And I don't know why it's so easy to form bad habits. Like, you do it almost instantly if it's a bad habit, but if it's a good habit, you have to work at it and work at it, and then you get in the habit. It's a really good habit, and then all it takes is like a couple of days to break a good habit. Like, it just out the window, like it never existed. It's like, what? And then you got to start all over again. So for me, I'm kind of struggling with that because I, I, I'm lazy. There's work that I know I could be doing, and I just choose not to do it. Um, and I have all these ideas of stuff that I want to do, and then I'm full of excuses. Like, I'm just too tired. I'm too this. I'm too irritated. I don't know. I'm just not in the mood to do whatever it is. Or I'm like, yeah, it's a nice idea. I just don't want to do it today. Maybe tomorrow. Full of excuses, basically. I have nothing else. Um, but I, I don't know. Today it just kind of kept playing over and over and over in my head, which I think is the Holy Ghost just bugging me. That's its job, is to bug me, uh, to remind me basically that I have other commitments, that I want to do other things, and that if I'm going to accomplish those other things, I need to get off my butt and do something. And I'm very good at just being like, go away, I'm ignoring you, go away, leave me alone. And sometimes, eventually, that will work, and sometimes it doesn't. And then I just get to like, okay, fine, I will do it, just leave me alone. And so I don't know that today is quite to the okay, fine, leave me alone. It's more like, okay, I know this is right, these are things I need to be doing. I'm just not ready to let go. I'm not ready to change. Those default settings, those bad habits are just, oh, they're hard to let go of. Sometimes they're just fun. And for me, it's just, it's playing games on my phone. It's nothing horribly bad or wrong. It's just that I will literally wake up and spend 3 hours playing games on my phone and then get ready to go to work. And then I think about it, I'm like, that's 3 hours. I could have been working on my writing. I could have been working on thumbnails for my YouTube videos. I could have been working on stuff for my other business. I could have been gone to work 3 hours earlier. Just that's 3 hours of time that I could have spent doing something else. And now I'm at this point where I'm like, I can spend the rest of my day beating myself up for wasting 3 hours. Or I can just accept that that's what I do every day, as I just waste 3 hours playing games. And I kind of do the same thing at night before I go to bed. I just spend 2 or 3 hours playing games on my phone. And I know that they're not important. Those games, they have no eternal value to them. They do nothing towards my personal goals or what I want to achieve in my life. They are a distraction. That's exactly what they are. They're a distraction, they're an avoidance technique. I mean, in some cases, it's just like a mind relaxer. They're mind numbing, so I don't have to think, I don't have to feel, I don't have to do whatever, which can be nice after a long day's work. It can be nice to just kind of be like, oh, I'm just going to unwind. I'm just going to not think about anything, and I'm going to play some games. And I know that that's okay. It's just that I think I take it to the extreme. And I am having a hard time learning to scale it back. And I'm afraid of that thought that's like I should go 100 days without playing games or watching Netflix or YouTube or TV or movies or whatever. And I was like, I don't think I can do it. I don't think I can do it. Like, and I'm sure I would feel better if I didn't do that for 100 days, because then But I would then what? I would daydream, or I would get bored and I would actually do stuff because I don't like being bored. I have to be doing something. So then I would have to do something because I can't play games on my phone. So that would probably be a really good goal for me to do. I'm just not willing to give it up. And I think sometimes in my life, I'm starting to see that I have habits like that I just don't want to let go of. And as long as I'm holding on to them, they're going to keep holding me back. And today was a prime example of that because I knew I wasn't sleeping because I got rudely awakened and don't even want to talk about that. And then I was just irritated and frustrated and could not go back to sleep. So I'm like, well, and then I was thinking, well, as long as I'm going to be awake, I may as well be productive. And I got as far as getting out of my bed and sitting on my couch and opened up my phone. And that was it. And there goes the games. And it's like, I could have used that frustration to clean. I could have used it to do thumbnails. I could have used it to do this a lot earlier. But I chose to do what I always do. I chose to let that default setting kick in. And it's something I've been doing, I think, since my divorce, maybe a little bit before I was married or whatever. But games weren't a huge thing on phones back then. It's, they're more in depth now, the more technology gets and the smarter my phones get. But, I didn't believe in getting a smartphone when they first came out. I didn't have games like consoles and things like that I could play growing up. Mom didn't allow that sort of thing, which is fine. It's actually probably really good. So I didn't even have that option. And then the most I had before was like Sudoku. And seriously, I can only play so many Sudoku games. And then I just get bored. And I'm like, all right, I got to go to bed. I got to do whatever. I can't spend 3 hours playing Sudoku unless it's a really hard one or something. I don't even have Sudoku on this phone anymore, so I don't even play that game. And most games, after a while, I just get bored of them and I just start new ones because I'm like, yeah, I'm done with that game. It's the same thing over and over again. I'm just bored. I need something new. I need something new. I do the same thing with jobs. I'm bored. I need something new. I need something new. I always need to be learning new things and doing new things, which is a new thing I'm discovering about myself. I mean, I know I don't like being bored. I even had a boss that told me I don't like being bored because if I'd run out of work, I was always asking or offering to help. And she's like, yeah, you don't like being bored. And I was like, oh, I don't. You're right. I don't. I don't like the repetitious things. I can't do that. And even my videos are like, they're all different. I know they're all different because I come up with something different and crazy to say every single day. I find different things to be grateful for every single day. So my aunt was totally wrong. She's like, you're going to run out of things to say. And I'm like, I will never run out of things to say. I talk way too much. And I have way too much pent up old emotions to process. I have way too many things I'm learning every day. And I've spent a lifetime trying to figure out other people and not trying to figure out myself. So I have a lifetime to make up of trying to figure out who I am. And right now I'm learning I don't like being bored, but I have to learn new things. I like learning new things. I get excited about new things. It gives me something to focus on, and then I can get lost in learning new things. And she would think, since I like learning new things, that I would spend the time to figure out YouTube and thumbnails and all of those things. But I think there's that fear factor, that false evidence appearing real, or whatever acronym you want to use for fear. But it's that fear of the unknown. It's the fear of change. It's knowing that I'm going to do something different, which means I'm going to get a different result. I just don't know what the different result is. And I'm hoping it's the positive result that I'm looking for and not a negative result. And I feel like it is, like it's a good thing and it's a good thing to be working towards. But it's scary because it's different. It will put me in a different situation. It will bring me to a different place. It requires me to change. It also requires me to let go of old things and, like spending hours playing games that I didn't used to do and I don't need to do. I just did after my divorce because I didn't want to feel anything. It was the way that I just numbed out of my life. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't whatever. I just play games on my phone. And then I didn't have to feel things. I didn't have to deal with things. I had a job where it's like, okay, I get paid to just be on the clock for a certain number of hours. And I'm like, okay, I'm done with my job. And I got like half an hour. So just sit and play on my phone for half an hour. I get paid to do it. So lots of, underlying factors that got me sucked into that. I'm sure I have an addictive personality too, always watching TV or movies to avoid stuff too. This isn't like new, it's just now it's on my phone instead of on my TV. But I'm trying, and at least today I can see it, and I'm grateful that I can see it a little bit more clearly, and that I can see, again, the choices. I think God is just showing me the choices, and He's also showing me the consequences of my choices. And I think consequences often sounds like it's a bad word, but consequences aren't bad or good. They're just the consequences. So whatever my choice is, it's kind of like math. A plus B equals C. So whatever I choose to do is going to end up the results. It's going to equal the same thing, That's going to be the end result, because it's like I do this, it will affect this. So if I do A, it will affect B, which will change C. And that's the outcome, So it's a cause and effect thing, which is basically what a consequence is. It is the effect of, or the outcome of, whatever my choice is. So when I choose to make my YouTube videos and talk about gratitude, then I feel grateful and I have a better attitude and I have a better day and everything is good. So, that's a good thing. When I choose to avoid my emotions or my feelings, I tend to overreact or get upset. And I probably overreacted this morning because I didn't like being woken up. I do that. But excuse me, that was also a choice. That was my choice. Not that it changed the situation, not that it solved anything, because it didn't. And I'm like, and it will happen again. As long as I'm living here, it will continue to happen, which is why I need to move again, which sucks. But I want to move. I want to move somewhere better. But then I'm like, I also want to build my own house. And so I'm like, okay, well, if I stay here and make this comfortable for a little bit and figure out my finances and get all of my stuff that I'm talking about up and running and going and getting my books published, then it'll set things in motion. And those positive consequences, those results of my actions, the fruits of my labors basically will start to come to fruition. And I will be in a better position to have or do the things that I want to do. So today I was reminding myself of that, or God was reminding me of those things, that if I want the change that I want, if I want to move, if I want to make things different, I have to do things differently. I have to stop. I have to let go of the past. I have to let go of the pain and the frustration. I have to work through my issues. I have to learn how to respond differently, and I have to make better choices. I have to focus on the changes that I want to make, and I have to work towards those changes. And if I'm not going to work towards those changes, that's okay. I don't have to work towards those changes, but then I won't get the results that I'm looking for because I'm not willing to do the work, which I'm like, okay, I know that's how it works, but I'm still one of those people that wishes I could just jump from the, okay, this is what I know I need to do, to this is what the end result is, and I could just skip all the work in between. That's that whole instant gratification thing that doesn't really work, and it's not actually gratifying because you don't put all the effort into it. It's just like handed to you, and it's like you don't appreciate it, or I'm like, hey, I appreciate it in the moment, and then I don't realize how wonderful a gift it was because I didn't actually have to earn it. I didn't have to work for it. So I know that God is telling me I have to earn this. I have to work for this. And it's, that same idea. I don't know if I wrote that in my journal or said that last night or today. I can't remember. Anyway, the idea that I had is kind of like, God always gives me just what I need, like the bare minimum. And then I realize it's because I put the bare minimum efforts into doing things. And if I put forth the effort, He gives me the blessings that equal my effort. And so if I want more blessings or more abundance in my life, emotionally, spiritually, financially, mentally, socially, whatever, if I want more abundance in my life, I need to put forth more effort in all of those areas in order to obtain more blessings. But as long as I continue to do the bare minimum, I will continue to get the bare minimum. And I think God gives me more than the bare minimum. I don't think he's like that mean and cruel or whatever. I maybe thought that when I was growing up. But, I think he blesses me with more than I deserve, quite honestly. And I know that the more I do, the more he blesses me. And then it's just like, wow, I will never do enough to deserve to earn all the blessings and the love and the support that God gives me. So I am grateful for his, what I don't know, they call that condescension or whatever, but I'm grateful for his love. I am grateful for his blessings. I am grateful that he is all powerful and he can make all this stuff work that I can't, that he can fill in all the gaps and he can make it work when it seems impossible. And that's the miracle. And I can see those miracles, and I'm grateful I can see those miracles. I'm also grateful I can see the parallel with what I'm wanting and the miracles I know God can perform for me in my life. And then realizing the only thing that's stopping me from having those miracles in my life, from getting the things that I want, from finishing everything, is just me. It's my choices. And as long as I continue to choose to do the same thing, nothing is going to change. So it's not saying nothing changes if nothing changes. So I have to change, and I don't want to change. So this is my problem. This is my current dilemma today, where I am grateful that I'm awake. I wish that I would have gotten ready and gone to work sooner, because I could have. I have no excuse not to. I just chose not to, because I chose to wallow in my self-pity today. I chose to be irritated today. I chose to play my games today. And that's okay. Those are the choices I made. I don't have to hate myself. I don't have to beat myself up about that, which I am so grateful for. I know that sounds so crazy, but it's like, I am actually very grateful that I do not have to spend the whole rest of my day beating myself up for what I didn't do today. Because I can start my day over at any point. I can start my day at any point, whenever I'm ready to face my day. And I am grateful for that gift. I am grateful for that knowledge. I am grateful that I can just be like, okay, I'm ready to read my scriptures and meditationals. Okay, I'm ready to make my YouTube video. Okay, I'm ready to go to work. And I don't have to force myself. I don't have to fight myself. And when I'm ready to let go of my games, I will let go of my games. And I will start replacing them with work and other things that I am ready to do. And I think this is just the process I go through. This is just building myself up. It's the preparation I need to go through in order to make those changes. I have to become aware of them first. I have to understand why I do what I do. And then I have to see the differences. I have to see the choices. I have to know. I have to understand myself, I think. And then I have to understand the consequences of my choices. And then I start to feel uncomfortable with the things that I'm doing. And then I don't like feeling uncomfortable. So then I will change. I will do something different to get away from the discomfort. But as long as I'm comfortable with what I'm doing, as long as I'm, okay where I'm at, I have no reason to change. And maybe that's why I'm here. Maybe that's what I need to learn from the situation that I'm living in, is that I'm not meant to live like this, that I deserve something better, that I can have something better. But if I want something better, I have to work for it. And I can't just sit around and wait for it to happen. And I can't just talk about it or hope that it's magically going to do its thing. I have to actually put forth the effort. So I have to do the marketing for my books. I have to bug people about being beta readers or getting responses back to find out what they do and don't like about my book, so I know what to change. I have to find somebody to edit my book. I have to do the work. I have to write the book. I have to write more books because I have more books to write. I have to put forth the effort. And when I put forth the effort, God blesses my efforts, and he makes it better, and he makes it good, and he makes it doable, makes it all possible. And then it's totally worth it. But then not only that, but then I develop better habits, and then I feel better about myself. And then it's things that I know that I can continue to do regardless of where I live. And if my living situation is better, I may even do more. I don't have to stop just because things get better, which sometimes I do. I think, things get better. I'm like, oh, this is better than it was, so I'm done. I don't have to keep working on myself. I've done that. It doesn't work, because if I don't keep working on myself, those old default settings, they creep back in. and they start taking over, and all of that negative thought and only seeing the bad stuff in life starts taking over. And it sucks. It really sucks. And then I forget all the good things that I have. And I saw something on Facebook. A friend of mine is dealing with some issues, fires and things like that, evacuations, all that crazy insanity stuff. But she posted something, and the last thought she put on there was a nice reminder to me that, when bad things are happening, good things come along to even out the bad things. And I was just like, wow, that is so true. And sometimes the good things can actually compensate. I mean, they compensate for the bad things, and sometimes they actually are better than the bad things. But sometimes we have to go through the bad things to see the good things, to realize how good we had it, to realize how good we have it, to see the blessings in our lives, to see something we can learn from. Like for me, like I don't like my situation, but I've, you know, been living out of boxes since I was divorced and haven't cared and haven't cared, and now I'm like, and now I can't stand it anymore. I just don't like this situation. I'm like, I can't do it. I want my own place. I want to be able to unpack, to relax, to have my space, to just figure me out. And I'm in the process of figuring me out. And it is a process, and it may be a lifelong process. I may never figure it out in this lifetime. I have no idea. But I do have ideas. I do have goals. I do have a direction in which I am trying to go. And some days I am better at working towards that goal and that direction than others. And today, at least, I am aware of what I'm doing. I am aware of the process. I am aware of choices. And I like that I'm aware of choices, because sometimes I wake up and I'm just depressed or discouraged and I don't want to do anything, and then I just play my games because I just don't want to deal with things, and I forget. I don't see the choices. I don't even think about it. It's just like an automatic whatever. And today the choices were right in my face and they kept popping into my head, and I was like, yeah, and I'm still not making the right choice. And it doesn't mean that I was making a wrong choice or a bad choice. It just means the choice that I was making wasn't working towards my goal of financial freedom. It wasn't working towards my goal of becoming a published author. It wasn't working towards my goal of moving or getting out of debt or whatever it is. It wasn't working towards anything that was going to build me up spiritually, emotionally, physically. It was just to avoid whatever I was dealing with because I just didn't want to deal with it. Or I just didn't want to process the emotion. I just didn't know what to do with it. So I was like, hey, I'm confused. I don't know what to do. So I'm just going to play my games. And it's like, okay, I'm confused. I don't know what to do. Well, I can find something productive to do, to work on something else that will make me feel better about myself. And then I can journal and call a friend or do something else to figure out what I'm feeling or figure out what I need to deal with. And I forgot those choices today. But I'm learning that I have choices and that I don't always make the best choice. Doesn't mean that I'm making a bad choice. Oftentimes I think I'm just making the default setting choice. So I need to change my default setting choices. I need to get rid of some of those default settings and replace them with something better. But I think that's also the key, is they have to be replaced with something, because you can't not have a default setting. So it has to be replaced with something, and it has to be replaced with something better. And when you haven't, like a lot of times in my life, I didn't know something better. So it's like, if I don't have something to replace it with, or I don't know how to replace it with something better, or I don't know what something better is or what something better feels like, I think that's part of my fears right now, is that I know what I want, but it's something in my life that I haven't had, or that I've had just not to the extent that I want, I guess. Because I did at one point have my own place, which was very nice. And I would like to have that again, just different. Because before I just bought a place, now I want to build a place. So different. But even if I buy another place, it still would be my place. So that would be nice. So something I've had before. It's just been a long time. And it wasn't, perfect. Nothing in life is ever perfect. It's always going to have ups and downs and things like that. And of course, what I'm doing for work or for employment right now is completely different than I've ever done before. So it's just, these are all just new, different avenues, a different way, a different time, a different, situation that I'm in. Um, it's just different. And different can be good. It can be very good. And it can be very exciting, but it can also be very scary. And I think I'm letting the fear get the better of me because I don't know what it's going to be like to have a published book. I can imagine, but I have no idea actually. I have no idea. So it scares me. I don't know what it'll feel like to actually have enough views and things on YouTube to actually be to where you can get monetized or whatever. I don't even know if I'll ever reach that number or not. But I think maybe that's part of the reason I don't do the thumbnails because it scares me that that many people would watch my videos, that they would know who I am, that I'm putting myself out there. And the goal is to actually have thousands or hundreds of thousands of people watch my videos and hundreds of thousands of people read my books. Because if I don't have that many people watching my videos or reading my books, I will not make money doing that. And then it's just a fun hobby on the side, which is nice. But my goal is to have that be my source of income so that I don't have to have other jobs. So, in order for that to happen, I have to put myself out there. I have to basically, sounds bad to say sell myself because that's not really what, I'm not like, uh, anyway, it just comes out bad in my head. Maybe it comes out bad in the video too. I apologize. That's not. But I mean, when you go into a job interview or whatever, you have to basically advertise for who you are. You have to put your best foot forward. The same thing with like a date or whatever in a relationship is you want people to see the best side of you first. Or maybe you only want them to see the best side of you and not the other side of you. Which, sadly, if anybody was hoping for that in my videos, I'm pretty sure I've already shown the bad sides of me. So you get to know me a little bit more than maybe I would prefer. And maybe in the future, I will not be as open with all of the stuff that I'm doing. It's just what I feel like I need to do right now to get myself started, to get through this hurdle. And maybe that's what people watching these videos need to hear, that you're not alone, that it is hard, it is a hurdle, but it is doable. It is possible. You can climb that mountain, get over that hurdle, can get across that deep river, whatever it is that seems impossible. It's doable with God's help. It can be done. And I'm going to prove that to myself. I'm going to prove that to all of you. And the only way to do it is to experiment, is to try it, is to see what happens. And the only way for things in my life to get better, to go in the direction that I want them to, is for me to change. And that is not an easy thing for me to do. Um, and I'm working on it very slowly. I know I'm like the turtle in that race, the tortoise and the hare. I'm the tortoise, slow and steady. It's like slow and steady wins the race, but slow and steady takes forever to get there. And sometimes I feel like I'm never going to reach the finish line. But I'm hoping that you'll stick with me, and I'm hoping that I will actually reach the finish line because that is my goal. And I am not going to give up on myself. I am not going to give up on my goal. I don't know how long it's going to take me to achieve it, but I am going to do it. And I am grateful that I am using my stubbornness to be more determined to make those changes. And I know they're not going to happen overnight. I know I'm going to continue to have setbacks, but I'm grateful that I can see the setbacks. I'm grateful that I can see my choices. I'm grateful that I can see the results of my choices and that I know the only person standing in my way is me. And the only way for me to get out of my way is to let go of old habits, to change old default settings, to trust that there is a better way of doing things and that there's something better that I can replace those default settings with. And right now, the best thing I can replace the negative thoughts with is the positive thoughts, is the gratitude, is focusing on the things that I'm grateful for, because that changes my attitude and that changes my default settings, and it makes me more open to making better choices for myself and for my life. And that will make my future better too. At least that is what I'm feeling. That is what I'm hoping. That is the goal that I am working towards. And again, I have to remind myself that it's not an overnight process, because I get excited and I'm like, oh, I can see it. I can do this. I can do this. And then I do it for a couple of days, and then I was like, oh, this is so much harder than I thought it was going to be, or why didn't the results come yet? And I have to remember that it takes a long time to come, and I am curious at this point. I have 33 days left. Oh my gosh, that means I'm like 2/3 of the way done with my videos. Yay! That's so cool. I just realized that. Anyway, I'm curious to see how I feel on day 100 versus day 1 when I first started this, and the changes that I'm making, and my thought processes, and the shifts that are happening. And I know there's shifts that need to happen. There are good things that need to happen. There's things that I'm becoming aware of that I need to be made aware of, and choices that I need to realize that I have so that I can learn to respond differently. And that's not easy, learning to respond differently or coming up with a different response. And sometimes it's just being aware that I'm like, okay, my response and my reaction is not good. It's not healthy. It's not helping me. But then it's like, now what? It's like, okay, now I'm aware, but now what? And then I have to open my mind and I have to ask God, now what? What's the next choice? What can I do differently? And then comes the really hard part. I have to be willing to do whatever comes differently. I have to be willing to try and experiment with a different behavior. And that's hard. And that's very hard. And that's kind of where I'm at. I'm kind of at the, okay, I am aware that the choices I'm making are not helping me towards my goal, and that I can make better choices. I have an idea as to what those better choices are. I just need to start implementing those ideas and see if they work. But I also think it's kind of a trial and error thing, where it's a nice idea, but you put it into practice, and just like, the best laid plans of mice and men often go awry. Is that Hemingway that said that? I can't remember. I swear one of these days I might actually look that up. but I know it's not going to work out exactly the way that I pictured in my head, because nothing comes out exactly the way I pictured in my head. Even my daydreams in my head, when I go to type them up in my book form, they always come out a little differently. They never come out the same. And it's okay. It's okay. And then it gets rewritten and revised and whatever. So the original book that I wrote is not going to be the original book that gets published. It's going to be different. And then if I miss something when it gets published, I can actually go back through and revise it, which is the nice thing with the whole online publishing thing, is that you can go in and make changes, and then it just goes out for the next people that buy the book. It's not like it used to be, where they print one edition and it's like all the books in that edition have whatever that error is, and then if they sell enough books and it's worth it to do a second edition, then they'll correct the stuff in the second edition. So you're stuck with whatever in the first series. This is different, and it's better. There's some things that are better with technology. There's some things that maybe aren't, but we have choices as to how to use it and what to use. And there's different stuff for different people, because different things work for different people. And the process that I'm going through may be different for other people, because if you don't have all the emotional baggage, maybe you're just much better at being motivated and making changes and setting goals and following through. And I am not. So for me to be 67 days into this is huge for me. This is huge for me. And I'm excited to see myself get this far. I'm excited to see myself get through the next 33 days and see the changes, to see the shifts, to see if the more I'm aware of things, the more I become uncomfortable with the choices I'm making, so that I will make better choices towards my goals. And I'm hoping at some point to make a vision board. My friend told me it's a vision board, not a goal board, but a vision board of some kind, so that I have a focus and a reminder that when I get depressed or discouraged, or I don't like my situation, that I have something to work towards, and I have a reason to work towards it, and I have a list of things I can do to work towards that thing. And even though it won't change my present circumstances, it gives me something positive to focus on instead of avoiding, and it will hopefully get me towards the end result that I want, even though it won't be immediately. So I am grateful for that, and I am grateful to be reminded that I have choices. I am grateful that I can move in a different direction. I am grateful that I can change, even if I do it at a turtle's pace. or slower. I don't know, is a snail's pace slower than a turtle's pace? Maybe I do it at snail's pace. Whatever really, really slow is, because that's me. But I'm grateful that I can still move, that I can still change, and that I don't have to stay stuck. And and I'm grateful that I'm able to do this video and that I get to go to work now. So, yay, get to go make some money so I can pay some bills. Lucky me. Anyway, just thank you for listening to me, for putting up with me, for listening to me as I go through this process. And I hope that in some way it helps you not feel so alone, because either you've been through it before and you're just looking and laughing and going, huh, been there, done that. You're good. You're going on the right track. Some positive feedback for that would be nice. Or you're someone else that's struggling and you're watching my little ups and downs and whatever it is that I'm going through and saying, oh, look, the crazy lady can do it. Then maybe I can too. So I hope that this is helpful to somebody out there. And if it is, please like, subscribe, share with someone you think it might help. And thank you very much for watching, listening, and I hope you have a day full of gratitude.